Welcome to this video on lesson 7.4 on creating word frequency dictionaries. Let me share my screen. The objective of this lesson is that students will be capable of creating word frequency lists with dictionaries, the Python structured dictionaries. Okay, so as we saw in previous videos in lesson 7.1 and 7.3 here, we can use dictionaries to have a key value pair. So we can create a frequency list with the word as the key and the value as the number of times that word occurs in some text file or some collection of text files or a corpus, right? And so the data structure dictionary in Python really lends itself well to doing this, to creating word frequency dictionaries in text files. And that's an important part of text processing and analysis, is knowing the frequency of words in writing or speech. So there are at least 6 different ways to do this, to create a frequency dictionary using a frequency list using dictionaries. So let's take a look here at the first one. This is probably the most basic one, just the most basic way to do it. If else. Let's take a look at this example in section 11.2 of the textbook. Let's just jump down to the code right here. So they put it into a function, but you don't need to do it that way. So on this line, they create an empty dictionary, right, with the dict function. You could also do that with empty curly braces. And then they loop over some list of words, for example. And so this is their variable name in there. This is the variable they use in the for loop body. And this S apparently is holding a list of words or something. And it's pretty simple. You say, if the current word, which is being represented by C, right? They use C here as the variable name in the for loop head. If the current word with the variable C is not in dictionary, then add in a new element, a new item in that dictionary, right? D is the dictionary name, square brackets is the key equals 1. So this is the first time I've seen it. Here it is once. So let's put it into the dictionary with 1. But if you've already seen it, like if this is not the first time you've seen it, like if C is not currently in D, then let's get that value, whatever the value is of C currently in the dictionary, and let's add 1 to it, because this is another time we've seen it as we're looping over each word in S. Okay, so that really is the heart right there. This other stuff above and below is for the function, which we can just not pay attention to right now. Right, so again, the logic is you create an empty dictionary, then you loop over a bunch of words in a list probably, right? You say, if the current word is not currently in the dictionary, then add it to the dictionary and give it a value of 1, because this is the first time I've seen it. But if the word is already in the dictionary, get its value, its current value, and add 1 to it and save it back to itself, right, in the dictionary. So that's how it works. It's pretty straightforward. Pretty basic way of doing that. There's another way, try except. Here's a Stack Overflow example where this is done with a try except. So same idea. Say you have words here. You have some fruit here. We have apple twice, banana twice, and strawberry and lemon each once. Create an empty dictionary with square brackets. This time, this person uses square, or I keep saying square bracket. Those are curly braces. Curly braces right there. Use curly braces to create an empty dictionary. And then let's loop over a split up version of those words. And we're going to use the variable name word. We're going to split up the string words into a list of words. And then we try to get the count. We try and increment the count of word in my count, which is dictionary, right, by 1. We just try it. We don't even ask permission. We don't even see if it's there or not yet. We just try it. Try to add 1 to it. But if that throws an error, if that throws a key error because the word's not there, as the word is the key, right? Then add a new entry to the dictionary and set the value to 1 because it's the first time apparently that we've seen it. All right, so it's the same idea, but kind of approached a different way. The way here is that we're just going to try to add 1 to it, but if that errors out, then just add a new entry for that word and assign the value to 1 because apparently it's the first time we've seen it. All right, that's the second way to do this, this idea of creating a frequency dictionary. A third way is the get dictionary method. Let me just stop right there. If those two were kind of difficult for you to conceptualize, then honestly just use one or the other, probably just the if else. From here on out, they get a little bit more sometimes perhaps a little more difficult to understand. But anyway, let's move on here to the get. So dictionaries have a get method. Let me show you what those, here's an example of this. Let's say we have a list of words and we create an empty dictionary with curly braces there. Frequency equals curly braces, empty set of curly braces, so an empty dictionary. We loop over the list of words and our variable name will be word. And here we say, okay, I want you to go into the dictionary, freaks. I want you to find the entry for word. And then I want you to now get the current value of word. So this is the dictionary name, right? And it's a method. So we use it, we call it with the .get method. I want you to find the current value of word in the freaks dictionary. But if you don't find it, then give me a value of 0, okay? But if you do find it, then give me the actual value, whether it's 5 or 100 or 5,000, whatever the value is, give it to me. But if you don't find it, then the default value should be 0. That's what that is specified after the comma. And then once you get all of that back, then add 1 to it. So if you haven't seen it yet, we'll get a 0 and we'll add 1 to it. Then it'll be 1. And we'll sign 1 back into the dictionary as the value for the key word. But if we get a value of, say, 5,000, like the dictionary already has a value of 5,000 for a word, then we add 1 to that 5,000, get 5,001, and save that back into the dictionary as now 5,001 is the value of word. So it's a little bit more complicated in figuring out what's happening where, but this is another way that you can get the frequency of words in a list and put them into a dictionary. Okay, so that is the get dictionary method. There is a default dict function in the module collections that is described in the textbook here in section 19.7. They describe this here. So you'd have to say from collections import default dict at the top of your Python script and some variable name. And here you put in the default value. Here they have a list, but we would use an integer, right? We want to count up words. And so we want integers, just whole numbers. So default dict, for us, counting up words, this would be int for integer. And then all you do is you just throw this in to, let's look at the example on Stack Overflow here. Okay, so they do that there, right? From collections import default dict. Here are a bunch of words. And then, yeah, so they create a dictionary called D, the variable name D, default dict, which is a function, right, from this module. And they have the default value should be of type int as an integer. And then they loop over the split up words and they just say, okay, for the current word, add 1 to the value. And if there's not a value, then it'll go to 0. Very much like the get method we just saw a second ago, the get dictionary method, but probably even easier because you just say dictionary name, give me the key word, and add 1 to whatever value it is. If you don't find it, then assign it to 0 and then add 1 to it. So this is another way that you could create a dictionary with word frequencies. There's still another way. Here is counter from collections. This is in section 19.6 of the textbook. So you would say from collections import counter, which is a different thing. And all you do with this is you throw in the big list of words into counter. And it returns a counter object, which looks like a tuple, but inside it has this dictionary. So if you throw in a string, it'll just count up the letters. So there are 2 R's in parrot, right? There's 1 T, 1 O, etc. All the rest have 1. So that's probably the easiest way, but computationally, I think it's one of the most intensive or costly as far as like running on the computer. If you have a massive list of like billions of words and you throw that into this one function, it's going to bog way down. It's going to bog the computer way down. Whereas if you're looping over in like an if-else statement or a try-except block, you're just looking at one word at a time, and you don't have to, you can read in each line by itself from the hard drive rather than having the whole billions of words into your working memory of the computer. Anyway, in the end, this works well for things that aren't too big, and it's probably the easiest. You just throw in the list, the collection that has elements. So this could be a list of a bunch of elements of strings like fruit or birds or whatever. You just throw it into this counter and it returns this counter object that has a list inside of it like that. That's yet another way. And there's even another way here using the NLTK module or the NLTK library. And they talk about how to do this in frequency distributions. So yet another way to do this with the freq dist function. You pass in a text, or that I think there's a list of words, if I'm not mistaken. You can look at the most common. So there are 6 ways to do this. I think I'll probably just stick with the most common or the most basic way, just like an if-else statement. Okay. And if you're new to programming, I would encourage you to stick with the if-else statement. Or if you feel comfortable using the try-except block, try that. Otherwise, just stick with the if-else. If you have more experience with programming and you want to try one of these other ones, make sure you know how to do get. That comes up a lot. It's useful. You can try one of these other ones down here if you like as well. Okay, so let's look at the practice exercises here. It says, write a few sentences about your favorite restaurant and or food. Be sure to repeat at least a few words in order to double check that your frequency list works correctly. Great. Using the if-else technique, create a word frequency list of the words in your few sentences and print the dictionary to the screen. Hint, be sure to deal with capitalization by converting all words to either uppercase or lowercase. You choose, but push everything to one or the other. Okay, so give that a try. You may need to click on some of these links I have in my lesson plan, right, to see how they do it. I encourage you to maybe look at this one here, right, this 11.2, see how they're doing it here. Once again, you don't need to worry about this function stuff. Really, just this in right here is the meat of creating the dictionary with frequencies. Okay, so give it a try. Let me highlight what I'm asking you to do right now for a couple minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes if needed or more. Just make a good faith effort to try and get a frequency dictionary working here. Ready, set, give it a try. All right, let's see how I approach this. Let me grab this little bit of code. All right, on line 1, I import RE. We'll need RE here with split. On line 2, I write a few sentences about In-N-Out Burger. I very much enjoy In-N-Out Burger. I think the onions in Italian or Thousand Island dressing make it for me. Five Guys Burgers is a close second. Anyway, some stuff about In-N-Out Burger and Five Guys. They just got an In-N-Out Burger here in Spanish Fork where I live. Anyway, I have I quite a few times, right? I have the, I bet, quite a few times in here. There's the. So we should get some repetition. Okay. On line 3, I push everything to uppercase. I push this whole string to uppercase, right? This dot upper, you can only call it on strings. And right now, a restaurant is a string. So I just push it to uppercase, and now it's still a string. On line 4, I use the re.split function to split up this string, restaurant, on this regex. So I'm saying character class, split up on any of these characters. And I say not the dash, nor an apostrophe, nor A through Z. Not one of those. In fact, I can say I need to, well, either I can make these uppercase or just say, don't worry about capitalization here with the flag, right? If I didn't have that flag, I would need to have it like this, uppercase A through Z. The reason is because I pushed everything to uppercase a second ago. So something that's not uppercase A through Z, apostrophe, or a dash. But because I have this flag equals RE dot capital I, then it won't worry about capitalization at all with letters. Either way. Okay, then I delete, on line 5, I delete any elements, any empty elements that were created when the string was split up. Because if you have two, let me see if I can find one. Like right here, I have a comma and a space. So those would be used to split up the string, and they would leave an empty character between the comma and the space. And so to get rid of those empty characters, I do this list comprehension where I say I for I in words was created right here on line 4, if the length of I is greater than 0. So in essence, get rid of empty characters, empty strings. Okay, so all this up to this point is simply creating the words. Let me just show you what that does before we move on. I'm just gonna print out words, and I'll just go ahead and comment out the rest so we don't see it just yet. I'm gonna run the script, keyboard shortcut. Let me show you this. Okay, so at this point we have a list with each word in its own element of that list, right? And because I put the dash in there, I said don't split up on dashes. It kept in and out together, good. It kept hadn't together because I said don't split up on apostrophes either. It did split up on DC, which, okay, that wasn't the best. I didn't want that to split up either, but anyway, so I get a list of words as each word is its own element to this point. All right, then what we're gonna do now is we're gonna create an empty dictionary on line 7 of my code here at the top of my screen. Empty dictionary, I'm gonna call it freaks equals curly braces there. You can see the curly braces. Good. Then I'm gonna loop over the words list. On line 8, I'm gonna go into a loop. This is the head of the loop, the for loop. All right, so we're gonna loop over the words list that was created on line 5. I'm gonna use the variable name word in the body of my for loop. And I say if word is not in freaks, so if the current word is not in this dictionary called freaks, then let's make a new item into that freaks dictionary. And so I say freaks, square brackets, word, that's the variable name holding the current word, right, equals 1. Else, which means if you actually do find the word in freaks, then get the current frequency and add 1 to it, right, and save it back to itself over here. This could be shortened to this, just to show you, this could be shortened to this, right, which means find the current value of this key word and add 1 to it and save it back to itself, right? Either one, this right here does the job as well. And then when you're done with that for loop, right, you can see the indentation on line 13 is at the same level of indentation as the line 8. So when the for loop is all done, then do line 13. So let's take a look here. If I run this whole script, what do we get? Yep. I happened 4 times apparently. Vary once, much once. In and out happened twice. Burger happened twice. Think happened once. For happened 3 times, etc. Okay. So that is the way to do it with a for, excuse me, an if-else block of code. If you'd like to stop the video, make it work on your end, I encourage you to do so. Okay. Then I say for fun, try this. Honestly, if what we've done so far is stretching you a bit, then just skip this C practice and jump down to D here. But let me just show you real quickly how you could do this with each of those other ways of doing it, with the try except, with the get dictionary method, with the default dictionary, with the collections and the counter, with the counter function in the collections, and the freak distribution within the NLTK library. I'm just going to do it right now. I'm not going to give you time. If you want to pause the video, go for it now. Otherwise, I'll just jump right in and show you how you can do that with these other approaches. And well, let's do one at a time, I guess, real quick. Okay, so here's the try except. I'll throw it over into here. Right about there. All right, so this is try to add 1 to it. If not, make a new entry and put 1 on it. This should work as well. Let me just go ahead and expose that. Yep, worked as well. Same results. Good. Next was the get method. Let me just grab that little bit of code, bring it over here, put it right on top of what I have here. There it is. So get the current value for word. If you don't have it, assign it a value of 0, and then add 1 to whatever value you have, whether it's 0 or the one that was already there. This should work as well. Hit it. Yep, same result. Okay. Here's the default dictionary approach. If you want to look at that, let me show you that real quick. I'm going quickly because this is the solution file, and this is kind of, we can do what we did previously with if else. So if I'm confusing you with going through this so quickly, I apologize. But I just want to show you that it's going to give us the same result every time. And that's all I'm just going to show you real quick. This one's a little bit different. You have to just throw words in. So what we're going to do here, we're going to throw words in. We're not going to loop over them. We're just going to throw the big old list of words in to counter and let it go. Once again, for small things, it'll work greatly. No, it'll work great. No. But for really big lists, like billions of words, your hard drive, your working memory of your computer would have a hard time dealing with all that. And so you probably need to loop over each line of the text files. But that worked good. One last one with NLTK right here. Grab that little bit of code, bring it over here, come into here, run the script. Oh, okay, I haven't installed all the stuff for NLTK, and I'm not going to right now, but that's the code. If you had everything installed correctly, then that's the code to do it with NLTK. I need to install some stuff with NLTK. But anyway, that's how you can do that one. Once again, if that was confusing, just stick with the if-else statement. If you understand the if-else way of doing it, then stick with that, and it works just fine. All right, now let's modify your program to sort the dictionary that's created after you convert it to a list or the dict items object in reverse order based on frequencies, right? Like in the previous lesson 7.3, we did that with lambda functions, right? The last one here was to sort the list by age in reverse order, right out to a CSV file. So we're doing the same thing here on exercise D. Modify your program to sort the dictionary after converting it to a list or a dict items object, which is very much like a list, in reverse order, descending order based on frequencies. Okay, so give that a try. Give that a good faith effort before you continue with the video. All right, let's see how we can do that. So I use the counter here. So I use counter here because it's such a small thing. But the idea was, yeah, let me take the time to go ahead and do this by hand with if else. Let me just grab the if else little bit of code real quick right in here. So right about here. All right, so we have our little string here. We do the breaking up into words, get rid of the empty elements there, right? Let's get rid of this stuff. Okay. So then we're going to open up, we're going to create an empty list, right? Or an empty dictionary. And loop over the list. Here's try except. Let me just real quick get this. Okay, so I loop over the words that we create up here. Right here's where we split up, and then get rid of empty strings there. Create an empty dictionary. We're gonna loop over those words now. If word is not currently in freaks, then add it to and give it a value of 1. If not, if it already is, then take the current value, add 1 to it, and save it back to itself. Great, so that's all done running. Then we'll do our sorted, which we saw last lesson, 7.3, right? Take this dictionary, which actually we need to, I can see now we need to do the dot items, call on that. Sorted frequencies dot items, reverse order on frequency, and then print that out once you're done. So let's run that, see what happens. Okay, so what do we have here? We have I4, the 3, 4, 3, in and out 2, burger 2, me 2, 5, 2, etc. So yeah, it's going in reverse order based on frequency. We have 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then we get down to the ones. All the rest are ones. So that worked. Okay, so you can pause the video and look at the meat. Basically, we're just kind of putting various things together. We're putting together how we can make a dictionary of frequencies. We're putting together here at the end, putting in reverse order based on frequency, the second thing in each tuple, like we did in the previous lesson. Right, we're kind of putting all these pieces together to create a frequency list. So I'd like to pause the video and look at kind of the meat right there. After we split up into words, you can do so now. You can look at my solution file as well if you like. All right. Let's modify your program to create a frequency list of a txt file of your choice. So let's ramp it up. Before I just had like a few sentences about In-N-Out Burger. Now let's ramp it up. Let's look at some massive txt file that has, tens of thousands of words. Let's really make this applicable to real text processing analysis. Okay, so try that. See if you can do this. You have to read in a txt file like we've done in the previous lesson. You have to break it up into words and go through and look at and create an empty dictionary. Go through and look at each word and say, is this current word in the dictionary? If so, add 1 to it. If not, assign it a value of 1 and move on to the next word. Good. And then after you're done with that, sort all those words in reverse order based on frequency. So the most frequent word is first, the second most frequent word is second, down through the least frequent word. Okay, so give that a try. Ready, set, give it a try. Okay, let's see how we can do that. Let me do this, that there. Okay, so here I have warandpeace.txt. Let me just double check that is a reality on my computer. Yeah, I have warandpeace.txt, which I grabbed from the Gutenberg project, Project Gutenberg website. I grabbed the TXT file. I didn't use the PDF file or anything. I just grabbed the TXT file that's there, plain text UTF-8. There it is on my hard drive, warandpeace.txt. Okay, we're going to read that in. This should all be familiar by this point. File, input, right. I'm going to loop over each line of that text file and push the current line to uppercase, split up on things that don't appear to be letter or word characters in English. That is A through Z or apostrophe or dash. And don't worry about capitalization there, right? And then get rid of the empty character or the empty strings, loop over those words and add to this empty dictionary that I created on line 4 before I even open up the connection to that warandpeace.txt. Here I'm using the get method approach of doing this, of creating the frequency dictionary. Okay, so what I'm saying is okay, look at this dictionary, get for me the value of word, whatever that value is right now. But if you don't find word at all, then give me a value of 0, which I specify here as a second argument to that get dictionary method. And then whatever it is you have now at that point, whether it's 0 or some other number, add 1 to it and save it back into the dictionary. Good. Then here, I create a list of tuples, right? A list of tuples. This could be shortened to something like this. And then honestly, you don't even need that at all. You could simply just have it like that, where we're just getting the, we're getting a dict items object with tuples. Each tuple has 2 things, the word and the frequency. And then we want to sort by the second thing, which is the frequency. Once again, don't be confused by the 1. Python's a zero-based language, and so the second thing has an index of 1. And then reverse order, print that out. Okay, so even though we're going to go over a bunch of words in War and Peace, which is a long novel, it should be able to handle it without a problem. Let's see how it goes. There, it finished. It took, I don't know, was that 3-4 seconds or something? But yeah, here are all the words. We're down at the bottom of this printout where all the words are just once. Let's jump up to the top. Okay, the word the in War and Peace occurs almost 35,000 times. The word and over 22,000 times, etc. That's not surprising. The word the, and, to, of, he, in. These are all the most frequent words in the English language, right? But you can see the frequencies, the actual exact frequencies of these words in War and Peace. And we jump down here, farther down, we got letter, apparently occurred 230 times. Officers apparently occurred that same number 230 times. But there you go. That's how you can get the frequencies of words in a big text file. If you want to stop the video, I'll expose all of it right there. There's the entire script that does that. Ready, set, pause if you'd like to. This is also my solution file. Okay, let's try it. Let's ramp it up. Let's keep ramping it up. So now we're going to try the same thing, but over several TXT files, not just one. Before we just had War and Peace, but now let's go over more. Okay, so see if you can modify your script. Again, you're just gonna have to piece together things that we've seen in the past. We've seen in the past how to loop over a bunch of text files and go through them. Now we're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna push it to a frequency dictionary, right? That's collecting the frequencies before we start looping over the files. Create an empty dictionary, start looping over the files. As we're going through the files, each word, keep populating, keep pushing to that dictionary. Okay, so go ahead and stop the video. This may take more time. You may need to write out the logic like, okay, first I need to do this. I need to create an empty dictionary. Okay, then I need to get the file names of all the files in a directory that are TXT files. Okay, then I need to start looping over those files and reading them in. As I'm reading each file, I need to look at each line and look at the words in each line. Right, just kind of think through the logic, how you would do this. Okay, so pause the video and give this a try. This may take a good amount of time, but give a good faith effort before you look at how I do this. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so let me just dump all this right on top of that. Okay, so we're going to import RE and OS this time because I need to change directories into a directory with a bunch of txt files. And I'll go ahead and use Jane Austen novels here on my hard drive. I have a directory with 6 novels by Jane Austen as txt files. Here on line 4, I get those names, the file names of those txt files, right? We've seen this quite a bit now, right? So this simply is a list comprehension that gets all the file names that end in txt or that have txt. Good. Then I create an empty dictionary on line 5. On line 6, I start looping over those files. On line 7, I open up a connection to the current file, save it as a variable name. Then I loop over that connection so I'm looking at line by line in the current novel. And I push that line to uppercase. I split it up into words. I get rid of any empty strings. Then I start looping over the words in the current line of the current novel. And then I use the get method again to populate this dictionary that we call freaks up on line 5. All right, so again, this says, I want to look at this dictionary, freaks. I want you to get me the current value of word, the key word. If you don't find it, give me a 0. And once you're done with that, whether I have a 0 or some other number now, I want to add 1 to it. And I want to save it back to the dictionary with that same key word. All right, so that'll run through all the words, right? All the words on the current line in the current novel. Once I'm done with that, turn it into a list, but honestly, this doesn't need to even really happen. We can just go like that. And then go ahead and sort them by the second element, which will be the frequency in reverse order, right, going backwards. So let's take a look. I'll run this script. Here we go. Should take a little bit of time here, a few seconds here to run through those 6 novels, and boom, it's done. About what, 4 or 5 seconds that was. And we have the least frequent words down here at the bottom. Pollution apparently occurs once in one of those 6 novels. Let me just jump up to the very top of the list. I bet the, yep, as we thought, the is the most frequent word in English. What is that? 27,000 times. Okay, good. She, unsurprisingly here with Jane Austen's novels, her and she is more frequent than he and his. There's his and he, unsurprising. So yeah, that's how we did it. We got all the frequencies of all the words and all the 6 novels we had in that directory on my hard drive. If you'd like to pause the video and look at how I'm doing this, just let me just real quick walk through the logic again. Right, so we change into the directory, get all the file names, create an empty dictionary. Then we loop over the files. So we're looking at one novel at a time. As we're looking at one novel at a time, we're looking at one line at a time, the current line in the current novel. And then we split up that line into words, and then we're looking at each word in turn. So we're looking at, we have four loops going on here, right? On line 6, we're looping over the files. And then within each file, we're looping over each line. And then within each line, we're looping over each word. And we're looking at each word and say, do you have this word yet in your dictionary? If not, create it and give me a value of 1. If not, give me the current value and add 1 to it. So that as it goes through all the words, it'll keep increasing the word counts. And then we've seen this several times now where you just sort in reverse order based on frequency, which is the second element, as an index of 1. Okay, so if you'd like to stop the video, let me try and expose all of this at once. Well, I can't quite, if I do this, I could get all on one screen. Anyway, you can look at the solution file, but that is there. That's how you do that. Okay, let's keep going here. A few more practice exercises here. This says modify your program to write the frequency list to a CSV file, again, in descending order based on frequencies. So rather than printing out to the console like we did over here at the last practice exercise, right? We just printed out to the console down here. Let's write these out to a CSV file on our hard drive. Okay, so let's jump over here. Bonus, if you want to do this bonus, modify your program to first sort in descending order by frequency, and then secondly, in ascending order by word. So if there's a tie on frequencies, it'll sort secondly in alphabetical order, ascendingly on the word. But that is, if you don't want to do that, don't worry about that. The first comment on the answer to this Stack Overflow thread will be useful. Okay, so, but anyway, give this a try here. Modify your program to write the word list we just created to a CSV file. Ready, set, give it a try. Okay, welcome back. Let's see how we could do that. All right, let's go ahead and do that there. I really can get rid of that. Honestly, I don't even need this whatsoever. I can just pass this all the way down into here. Just kind of doing it for pedagogical purposes, but I think I'll make it more concise. Same thing as before here, right? We're changing directories into the directory with a bunch of TXT files. We get their names, create an empty dictionary, start looping over each file, all the files, open up a connection, get the current line, push it to uppercase, split up into words, get rid of any empty strings, start looping over the words, and populate the frequency dictionary using the get dictionary method. Right, this is all what we've seen before. If I'd like to review that, go for it. And then what we're going to do here is sort the items by the frequency in reverse order. Good, we're going to save it back to the same variable name. That's totally fine in Python to do so. So at this point, after we've created this dictionary and populated it with these for loops here, these 4 levels of for loops, we have a dictionary. But then at this point, when we call the dictionary method items, we create a dict items object. And then when we call sort on it, we actually create a list. So now by line 16, we have a list. And what we're going to do is that list has each element is a tuple, and each tuple has 2 things in it, the word and the frequency. If you want, I can print that out. Let me just print that out to show you what I'm talking about. And then we'll wait to write this out to the hard drive for a second here. Let me just let this go. Take a few seconds here to run through those. And yeah, there we have a list with, I can see that it's a list. Let me zoom way in here. I can see that it's a list because we have square bracket. And then I can see that each element of the list is a tuple. We have parentheses. And each tuple has 2 things. A string, which is the word, and then an integer, which is the count. Right, good. So that works. And then after that point, we're going to open up an out file connection, right? And so we're just doing with open. Here's the pathway I want to create. So in my downloads directory, I want to freaks_austin.csv. I need to write it out. So I need to specify W there as fout, some variable name that's well formed. Then I want to write a header on the sorry, there's a bunch of birds outside my window. Apologize. A header in the CSV file, and then we're going to loop over this freaks list, and we can call 2 variables, right? So the first one is the words, like jumping back down here, looking at my console. Right there, we have the word and then the frequency, and so I can save those to these variables here. So then I'm going to write out to this out file, word concatenated with the tab, concatenated with the string version of the frequency, which is an integer, so you have to course it to string. with str, and then a new line break. So let me run this. And when it's done running, it should create a CSV file on my hard drive on my downloads called Freaks Austin CSV. There it is. It finished. It printed out because I asked it to on 17 there. But the real take-home message should be that I have a file in my downloads called Freaks Austin. There it is, Freaks Austin. Let me open this up and let's see what we got. Yep, here they are. Here are a bunch of frequencies, a bunch of words and frequencies. So the, to, and, of, etc. They're there. And they go all the way down to the bottom of the list, which is down at almost 18,000. So apparently there are 18,000 word types. That is unique words. And so that's that. With the bonus, what I was talking about with the bonus, you can see here that all these words down here have one. There are a bunch of words that only occur once, but they're not alphabetized. They're not ordered. They're not sorted in alphabetical order here. So anyway, let me back up here and pause the video, or you can look at my solution file if you'd like to look at how to go from a sorted list and push it out to the hard drive like that. If you'd like to stop the video and look at that little bit of code there to do that, or look at the solution file on the CMS. Okay, so jumping over, that is, to the bonus little thing here. Try to figure out how to first sort by frequency in descending order, and then secondly, sort by word if there is a tie in ascending order. Right, and so here, I don't know if you checked out this Stack Overflow question here. I'll just jump to my code right now. You know, you can do this type of thing. I'll just jump to my code. And let's plop it in here to my little chalkboard. And let me just point out the difference here. Right here, where we sort the dict items objects, or the list like object. This is actually a list right here. What we do is we say, okay, hey Lambda, I want you to do this. I'm going to give you something, and I want you to give me back first a negative x index into 1, which means go negatively on the second item. So go in descending order on the second item, and then go in positive order on the first item. So sort in descending order by the frequency. When there are ties, I want you to sort by the first item, that is the word, in ascending order, in alphabetical order, right? So let's try that. Let me run that, a little bit of code. Should take a few seconds there to run. Let me shut this down and open it up again. Don't save anything. I just did. I don't need that one anymore. Let me jump back over here and open that script, this Freak Austin CSV file. And up here at the top, we're not going to have ties, right? Or many ties. So let me just jump down to somewhere where we have a tie. Okay, there's a tie right there. 818. Ever should come before then, and it does, right? Because ever comes first in the alphabet. Let me jump down to the bottom of the list and let's look down there. Yeah, these are sorted in alphabetical order because we have a bunch of ties on the frequency. There's a lot of extraneous stuff that kind of came through, but you can see that, yeah, these are sorted in ascending order. I'm scrolling back up to the top of this range. Anyway, so we have V's, and then we jump down to W's, etc. Okay, so that worked. Again, the only real thing is here, you're telling the sorted function how to deal with ties. So we're passing in two things. We're saying, hey, first sort in descending order by the frequency. And then if there's a tie, then sort in ascending order by the word. Right there. That's the only difference. Right there. All right, if you'd like to pause the video and make that work on your end, please go for it. Okay, one last little exercise. This says modify your program to exclude the words in the following list. we're going to call it a stop list equals these words. These words are very frequent. They don't have much semantic value. Like they don't really give much meaning to the lexical meaning, at least to an utterance. And so we don't really want those. We just want like, lexically rich semantic words, not these, articles. These are articles, definite and indefinite articles here, prepositions, right? Conjunction there. So let's not keep those. So see if you can modify your program on how you do that. If you need some help, what you do is when you get to, when you create that word list, you need to say, I don't want any words that are in this list as you're creating that word list or when you have it. Okay, so see if you can do that. You can do that with a list comprehension easily, where you'd say, give me all the words and words that I've just created if the current word is not in this list that we called stop list here. So give that a try for a few minutes. All right, welcome back. Hopefully that wasn't too, if that was really tough for you, then don't stress. Let's take a look at how you could do that. I do hope you guys are actually trying. I hope you're not just simply watching the video straight through, because the learning happens with the struggle. When you're struggling, you're trying to figure out and you're experimenting, like, okay, what happens if I change this code here? What happens if I do that? That's where the learning really happens. All right, so it really happens right in here. So we created a little stop list, right? We push it to uppercase there. Right, we use list comprehension to push every element of that thing to uppercase there. We can't call upper on this list because list or upper is not a list method. So we have to call on each string within the list with a list comprehension there on line 6. And then down and through here. Then when we're looping over each word, we're looking at each word in turn. We say, okay, if the current word is not in the stop list that we created up right there, right? If it's not in there, then let's get the frequency of it and hold on to the frequency of it in our frequency dictionary called freaks. That's the only change there, and everything else is the same, like we just saw a second ago. Okay, so once again, I'll back up right here. This line 15 is the new thing. And the idea is that as we're looping over each word, right, in 14, we're going over each word. We say, okay, if the current word is not in the stop list, then we want to hold on to the frequency. Otherwise, if it is, it won't run this. It won't actually say, it won't hold on to the frequency if it is in the stop list. So let me rerun this. Let me run this script and see if it gets rid of the. So jumping to the top of this list, we should not have the, nor to, nor some of these really high frequency words right here that we currently have. If I reload this CSV file, we should not have those anymore. Yeah, it finished there. Good, all done. Jump back over here, open it up. Good. Now we don't have the, nor to, and those other ones we just had. First one is her. I, in, anyway, we could have get rid of in, right? That's the idea. That's how you get rid of words in a frequency list that you don't really want because they're not really doing much for you, semantically, lexically. Okay, so if I can take a look at that solution file. Once again, I'll just point out in my video, the real difference is just right there. And the indentation you have to put below the if statement. Okay. So that is how you can make frequency lists. There are several homework assignments, that deal with this idea of creating frequency lists from large amounts of text, large amounts of files. Okay. So again, if you're new to this, I would probably just stick with the if-else approach, perhaps try the get approach, which I show several times in the solution files and the video I just recorded. But that brings us to an end. So at this point, you should be capable of creating word frequency lists using dictionaries. All right, that brings us to an end of this lesson 7.4 on creating frequency lists. See you next time.